This is Sick and Wrong, America's #1 source for antisocial commentary. Brought to you by the Reach Around Foundation.
Good evening. Welcome to Sick and Wrong, the world source for antisocial commentary. I'm one of your hosts, D. Simon.
And I'm Lance Wackerly.
How's it going there, Wackerly?
Not bad. How are you?
You know, I'm doing fine, but I was just going to say that I really don't care how you're doing, but I just feel it's appropriate for me to ask that. It's like a formality, and I've noticed.
Show off.
I've noticed that it kind of just starts the show, but I've noticed that every podcast, all those cliched guy and girl podcasts, it's always like, so how are you?
How was your vagina
day?
smelling today, honey?
Yeah, exactly.
What's up with all those boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife shows?
I don't know. I think they're under the mistaken assumption that we actually fucking care.
Yeah.
No, I don't understand that.
Do you want to do a podcast with your girlfriend? Do you have any urge to do that? No.
Do I? It's funny. I think I already spent enough time with her.
Right.
And if I have to spend any more time, it's going to make the relationship sour.
You mean like when she just listens to you say that on this podcast? That kind of sour?
And she doesn't listen to this shit.
I have the same safety valve. My girlfriend does not listen either.
Yeah,
it's for the best.
Yeah, I think it is for the best. So this is podcast 35 here of Sick and Wrong. And moving towards 50. I decided that the 50, we're going to have to do a special silver anniversary podcast. Is it silver or is it gold?
That's gold. No, that's gold.
It's gold, and it will be a return of my brother. So, stay tuned. Stay tuned.
It's funny that he's we've tried to have other guests on, and your brother is the most reliable out of any of them, when in fact your brother is one of the most unreliable people I know. But
yeah, it amazes me. I can't.
It doesn't say a lot about all the other people we know that he can make it here and nobody else can.
Yeah, my brother's the epitome of flake, and it's amazing that he can actually come to the Sick and Wrong studio. But he's going to make it here for podcast 50. But right now here for podcast 35, we have a lot to get through, so I'm just going to kind of go right into it. So a couple weeks ago, I think it might have even been the last podcast in 34, a guy sent us an email stating, we should have a new grading scale going on for our articles. And I actually was I'm quite grateful that he took the time to write up that email, and he's a big fan of the show.
He's a traveling child molester? Traveling salesman?
I think we said he worked at Taco Bell, and he actually he sent me another email commenting on our comments on him in the last podcast, and he was saying that, he's just like, I do a lot of traveling, and he's like, I kind of wish I worked at Taco Bell, because I think we mentioned that. But then he kind of went off and sent us a bunch of information on retards, on retarded people. And I think a lot of people think that we're obsessed with retarded people here at Sick and Wrong. And I think they're I think there's partial truth to that, don't you?
Yeah, you're obsessed with retards and I'm not.
Did you you experience some mirth from looking at retards? Or maybe some girth?
Yeah. I hate to say it, but I think I enjoy the misfortune of retarded people.
Dude,
which means that if I ever have a kid, he will most likely be retarded just as a curse.
Dude, if there's any poetic justice, my kid's going to be a web-toed fucking duck boy, I guarantee. That's why I got a vasectomy when I was 18. But
nice job.
I'm just saying, it's you can say that you appreciate retards or you respect them all you want, but last Saturday, we drove by a group of retards playing soccer. And there's Wackerly like, I'm going to get a T-shirt and go hang out and just cheer them on and give them some Gatorade.
I do love that. Because is this just a thing that happens in big cities? But you'll just be downtown or in a park or on the subway, and once in a while you'll just see, like, retard brigades. I always wonder what they're doing.
Retard groups.
And there'll be, like, two normals and then, like 15 retarded people. And they're always, are they field trips? But this was like a soccer game with all retarded people.
I had no idea they were allowed to congregate in such large groups. They're not allowed to do that in China.
You have to have a certified retard
keeper.
Handler.
Yeah, you have to have a keeper
present. They can't just be out there on their own in a big group.
And there were several keepers that were refereeing that soccer game.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting back to this guy's email here, Zach sent us sent us a link to a website called tardblog.com. And apparently, like I mentioned this to some people at work, and Tardblog's been like an internet phenomenon for a few years now, and it's just one of those ones that just kind of escaped me.
I never heard of it till you showed it to me today.
Yeah, I was looking at this and I'm like, whoa, dude, I found the holy grail of blogs here.
It's kind of funny. It's not a blog by a tard.
No, and that's kind of what I thought it was going to be. So I was somewhat disappointed till I actually read it. And, it's a very amusing blog, and I definitely think you should check it out. It's tard-blog.com. And what it is, it's a weblog written by a real-life special education teacher who I guess apparently is retired from teaching and is pursuing other interests. And her entire body of work is listed on this blog here. And there's a bunch of different headings, and you can just kind of click on different stories. But I'm reading through, and yeah, there's some really amusing stories. It's really funny. But I'm just looking at this, and I'm like, this is not real. I mean,
well, it's definitely not a positive view of retarded people. So you'd think a special education teacher would have a compassion, but this is all about how like retards are really fucked up and annoying, and their parents are screwed up. And
yeah, I mean, I was just reading a couple of the stories, and it's just like this person who wrote the author is just so like caustic towards retards. I mean, just like calls them tards numerous times. It's just like, yeah, they're fucking idiots. I think one story she was talking about how when they get in trouble when they play recess, they put them in this like little ball pen or something and have them untangle the jump ropes, which they can't figure out for the life of them. So it's just like one of her little
That's
short
hard,
amusements.
Dude. Have you ever tried
it? Well, it's one of the ways she amuses herself and tolerates her career. I just don't think. I mean, I can understand how working with retards would make you a bitter person, but I just don't think I think most people, at least in my experience, when I was retarded, actually still am. No, but in my high school, I recall the special education teacher. We had one of those schools in Michigan that the special education class was downstairs in the basement near the boiler room.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny because people always say that's like a stereotype. Oh, yeah, downstairs. But no, it's true. They
Short
put
bus,
those fucking tards downstairs in the basement, and they rode a short bus. But the teacher, who also taught driver's education, his name was Mr. Hardy, he had to have been one of the most like patient, forbearing individuals I've ever met in my life. I mean, this guy, you could just go up to him and, I don't know, give him a dirty Sanchez, and he would just be like, okay, fine. That's not a proper way to act in society. But he was just like such a patient individual. I could never see this dude.
Do you think because it's chicken and the egg thing, do you think because he's like that, he works with retarded people? Or do you think he's like that from just working around so many retarded people that he just doesn't have, his brain's
What are you saying? He like caught Down syndrome or something?
Well, no,
it's contagious.
You just
Actually, I do think that guy was retarded.
Everybody he
mildly.
deals with every day, all day long at his job, just can't fucking do anything or figure anything out, and and they constantly, do antisocial behavior, and that's why
no, exactly. I understand your point here. It's like my ex-girlfriend's mother also taught retards, and she was one of those people with those voices. It's like that really kind, caring, slow voice. Even when she spoke to you, it's just like, so, how are you doing?
I hate that shit.
I know, dude. I always thought it was patronizing. I always thought it was patronizing. I'm just like looking at her like, would you just fucking speak up?
Yeah, I'm not retarded.
Spit it out. I'm not retarded.
I'm not that retarded.
Yeah, exactly. But once again, I could never see her being so bitter towards retards. My point is, if you teach retards, you appreciate retards. And you're compassionate towards them. You're not going to write a weblog saying, yeah, these fucking retards today were putting stickers all over their face and peeling them off, and then like rolling around in a rice box.
Yeah, if you hated it that much, it seems like you'd just quit.
Exactly. I mean,
so when I was in high school, there was no basement. It was a one-level school, but we did have retard classes. And when I was in 4th grade, we had to once a week go down to the retard class, and and every kid got partnered up with a retard, and you had to sit there and read to the kid for an hour.
You had to get partnered with a retard.
Yeah, so like
Why?
I had it's supposed to teach you to like accept them, but it's one of those things that it completely backfired, and to this day I think that was the beginning of my hatred for retarded people having to go down there. I mean, they smell, they're retarded, they can't read, so you're doing all the work in this
what
reading
did you have to do?
hour.
I mean, you're in 4th grade. Did you have to read to them?
We had to read with, you get, they're kind of in 4th grade or 4th retard grade, and you go and you get books.
They're gradeless. No,
yeah,
they're in limbo.
You go to the library and get books that are like meant for the kindergartners, and yeah, you read through it with them, and they look at the pictures. And I have another point of bitterness about this. So the guy that I got partnered with, no idea what his name was, but I can picture him in my head. He
Luther.
wasn't even a downer. He was like just a really stupid kid.
Just a slow kid.
Well, really slow, like almost stop. But he didn't have Down syndrome. And I just feel if you're gonna be forced into that situation to have to help a retarded person, you at least want like a mega Down syndrome kind of kid.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you want someone who's like noticeably retarded.
It was a bad experience.
How long did you have to do this?
It was like an hour, once a week for an hour and a half or something.
God, dude, you know, I never understood why they put some retards in our high schools, especially. I remember this one girl we used to call It. I mean, I know that's kind of mean. I know
you can't lock them up in insane asylum
yeah.
prisons anymore.
Yeah, but this girl couldn't even tie her fucking shoes. Did she belong in high school?
Well,
and the thing is, they don't have special.
That's what they make
schools.
Velcro for.
I guess you have a point there. But no, I mean, go check out this website if you want, tardblog.com, and you can decide whether or not you feel it's authentic.
Yeah, and I do not want to see...
I'm calling bullshit on it.
Well, and I don't want to see one fucking email writing into the show that I'm going to have a retarded kid, because I already fucking beat you to the punch on that one. I know I'll have a retarded kid, so don't fucking go off on me.
Are you going to train it to do tricks? Like
balance to get me a beer.
See, that's the thing. It's not that bad. I mean,
it's kind of like having a dog that's shaped like a human.
Seriously, dude. Yeah, I mean, and the one cool thing about retards, unless you get a violent one, is usually they generally have a pretty well-rounded demeanor. They're usually
because they don't have shit to worry about
at all, ever.
Fucking retarded. I don't care. Give me a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
No, that's the thing. I think parents they rue the day that they might have a retarded kid, and they're horrified by it. And I think now you can get ultrasounds and abort the fetus if it's retarded. But I think what you should do is you should embrace it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna have one, you might as well have fun with it.
Who's telling people to abort their kids if they're retarded? I don't think anybody's doing that.
They do that, dude. if you took your wife for an ultrasound and they were looking at it like, yeah, your kid's gonna head is shaped like a triangle.
Yeah, but that's a genetic deformity. I don't think. Well, okay.
I don't know. But I guess this dude also sent us another paragraph here that I thought was kind of funny. He actually mentions in his email, he's like, "Man, I sound way too obsessed with retards in this email." But he's like, "I just noticed that." Because well, one more thing. He's just mentioning that he had an ex-boss at his former job who got fired, and after he was fired, they had to clean off his computer and just wipe his hard drive. And he said they found a secret stash of retard photos, not like erotic photos. There weren't naked retards, just a stash of pictures.
I hope there's not a single naked picture of a retard out there.
Well, I was wondering, dude, do you think that's some kind of fetish?
I think it'd be a better story if he got fired because he was spending too much time looking at retard pictures on his computer.
It's just kind of weird that this guy would have that, though. But I was just looking at it. I was like, I wonder if there are any magazines or websites out there devoted to tard porn.
I hope not.
I don't know. Another business venture. But finally on that note, we're going to wrap up this retard bashing session here. And one other guy also sent us another link. This is why we're talking about retards here on Sick and Wrong today. Another link to a YouTube video of Corky, who we've spoken about in a previous podcast, doing a little dance to Fight the Power. I think he was doing Fight the Power by Public Enemy.
The Public Enemy song.
Yeah, and it's like a little excerpt.
Well, he's singing it also, right?
Yeah, it's an excerpt from Life Goes On. And we're going to link to this YouTube video on our website, Sick and Wrong Podcast. But it's funny. It's like so Wackerly and I, before the show, were watching this video, and then Wackerly made this assertion that I find completely erroneous, and he actually feels.
I don't think he's really retarded.
Dude, that's a bombshell. I don't agree with you. How could you not say that guy's the most famous retard that's ever lived?
He's breakdancing. He had a TV show, which I guess he memorized lines every week for. I mean, he's a television star.
What you said.
This is the bar is too high that he's reached for a retard.
Well, what you said is the fact that he can do the moonwalk.
Well, yeah,
makes him not retarded.
And in this video, which you all shall see on the webpage, he does the moonwalk. The moonwalk is hard to do. Have you ever tried it?
I've done it before in the past, and I consider myself not retarded, but I can do it. But, dude, I think you can teach retards certain tricks, and I bet you he's, on the higher level of intelligence, like the higher scale retards.
So when do you stop being a retard? How high do you have to get?
Dude, I know. I mean, there's some retards that have the
I
mental
think he's
capacity of a golden retriever, and then there's some that have the mental capacity of, like, you know, a 16-year-old or something.
Well, this goes back.
That's Corky.
This goes back to I'm going to preliminarily rebut all these people who are going to come say that we're mean for making fun of retards. Retards have it great. I'm never going to get a job. I'm never going to pay taxes. I'm going to play with toys till I'm 50 years old. That's it. That's my life. And I think this guy...
Yeah, but you're never going to get laid.
I think this guy, Corky, figured this out and said, you know what? I kind of look retarded. I'm jumping on that fun train.
So are you...
No responsibility.
Are you implying here that Corky's a retard opportunist?
Yeah, I do.
So you think he's taking full advantage of his retardation?
I don't think he is retarded. I think he's taking full advantage of...
the fact that he looks retarded.
He looks retarded. Or maybe he's mildly retarded, but it's definitely retard exploitation. That's what I'm going to call his whole body of work.
Well, you know what? I'm going to invite the listening audience to make their own assumption on this. Check out the video. We're going to link to it on the website, sickandwrongpodcast.com. And you can email us at sickandwrongpodcast@hotmail.com and tell us whether or not you feel Corky is really retarded. We'll take a poll. You know, why not? Why not?
I'd like to take a poll to him. Side of his head.
Moving along here. So this is podcast 35. The way Sick and Wrong works, people, is it's a competition here between me and Wackerly. We compete over a case of MGD each week. Who can find the most disturbing news item? But yeah, you can check it out here. I believe you started last week. So
sure.
I think I'm going to have to kick it off here for podcast 35. So the headline here is, "A pregnant man? ?
Oh, boy.
Can this happen? We shall see. For nearly 4 decades, almost 40 years, Sanju Bhagat carried the body of his twin brother." Dun, 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 dun.
I love that.
Sanju Bhagat's stomach was once so swollen, he looked 9 months pregnant and could barely breathe. Living in the city of Nagpur, India, you know, an article like this could never take place anywhere but India.
Yeah.
Or maybe some Latin American country.
They just let shit like that go.
Yeah, no, I know. Because here we're far too vain to have a fucking swollen gut your whole life.
Have medical treatment available for maladies.
Yeah, or you just commit. So Bhagat said he'd felt self-conscious his whole life about his big belly. But one night in June 1999, his problem erupted into something much larger than cosmetic concern. An ambulance rushed a 36-year-old farmer to the hospital.
Contractions?
His water broke. Doctors thought he might have a giant tumor, so they decided to operate immediately and remove the source of the bulge in his belly. Basically, the tumor was so big that it was pressing on his diaphragm and was affecting his breathing. Because of the sheer size of the tumor, it was making it difficult to operate, so they had anticipated, many problems. One of the doctors here, his name is Mehta, said that he can usually spot a tumor just after he begins an operation. Well, this guy's gut was swollen, looked like he was 9 months pregnant. So
it's right there.
I don't think it takes a doctor to spot that one. But while operating on Bhagat, Mehta saw something he had never encountered before. As he cut deeper into Bhagat's stomach, gallons of fluid spilled out onto the floor.
There's the water breaking for you.
And then something extraordinary happened. Quote unquote.
Slap its ass.
To my surprise and horror, I could shake hands with somebody inside. It was a bit shocking for me.
Shake hands?
He could shake hands.
How you doing? How are you doing?
How are you doing? Thank you. Come again. Would you like a squishy? I bet you that's what was coming out of the guy's tumor.
He has to operate fast, so when the next customer comes up to get the next squishy, he can go out there and
Lemon
serve
lime Slurpee coming out of the guy's gut. Okay, I'm going to let that go. But no, seriously, dude, this is like the ultimate doctor fishing story. I mean, I don't know how many doctors get to encounter something like this. So he recalled that day in the operating room. I put my hand inside and said there were a lot of bones inside this man's stomach. First, one limb came out, then another limb, then some part of genitalia, then some part of hair, some limbs, jaws, limbs, hair.
How do we know he's not a cannibal?
And he just ate this thing?
Or a couple of things.
Well, check this out. Inside Bhagat's stomach was a strange, half-formed creature that had feet, and hands that were very developed. Its fingernails were quite long. Its name was Belial, and it liked hamburgers.
Lived in a basket.
He carried it around in a basket. Doctors said that they were horrified, confused, and amazed. At first glance, it looked like Bagat had actually given birth. The doctor had removed the mutilated body of his twin brother from his stomach. Bagat, they discovered, had one of the world's most bizarre medical conditions. It's called fetus in fetu. It's an extremely rare abnormality that occurs when a fetus gets trapped inside its twin. The trapped fetus can survive as a parasite even past birth by forming an umbilical cord-like structure that leaches its twin's blood supply and grows so large that it starts to harm the host. So, he carried this thing for almost 40 years inside his stomach. I guess there are fewer than 90 cases of fetus in fetu recorded in medical literature.
Thank God.
Yeah, it happens very early in a twin pregnancy, and usually the two twins die.
You'd think.
They die at birth. Sometimes, however, though, as in Bagat's case, the host twin survives and is delivered. What makes his case so unusual is that no one suspected he had a twin inside of him for 36 years.
But this thing was dead when they took it out, right? It wasn't living.
No, it wasn't living. But
right.
But this dude's, you'll see the picture that I will post on the website. I mean, his gut is swollen. It's huge. It looks like he's carrying a beach ball around with him for 36 years. And so I was thinking about this. In India, they have arranged marriages. Mm-hmm. So do you think the fact that this dude, who is just obviously a freakish-looking individual, do you think they arranged a marriage for his poor, hapless, some poor, hapless virgin out there?
I would think so.
So some woman had to get fucked by this, guy carrying his fetus twin inside of him.
It's a threesome.
A menage a trois. I guess Bagat said he was very much relieved after the operation. He was not interested in knowing what the doctors did to him or seeing what they had removed from his abdomen. He didn't want to see it because it was looking very ghastly. There was no placenta inside of him. The enveloped parasitic twin had connected directly to his blood supply. Right after surgery, his pain and inability to breathe disappeared, and he recovered immediately. Yeah. Bagat said his condition, his whole life, had been a source of shame and misery. So right now we should cue that music, that do-do-do.
Okay.
It had been a source of shame and misery. All his life, people in the village where he lived had mercilessly teased him and told him he looked pregnant. Ironically, though, they were right. Yeah, they were right.
They spoke the truth.
I wonder what their taunts were all about, though. I just think it's funny. I guess today he lives a healthy and normal life as a farmer, but he still gets teased occasionally by other men in the village. They still ridicule him. What they say is, you went for an operation and you had a baby, which is kind of funny. So they're still taunting him. If I were him, I would take full advantage of that. I would have kept the thing.
How so?
Put it in a carriage and walked around, or maybe carried it around with me. And when people came and said something to me about it, I would just throw it at them.
It probably started to smell pretty bad.
Yeah, I don't know. You could probably get it preserved somehow. Plastinated or something.
Antifreeze?
Dude, I mean, seriously, they think you're a freak because it looked like you were pregnant your whole life. Now they're teasing you for giving birth. I mean, you almost died from this. I would take full advantage and be like, okay, asshole, kiss it. Touch it.
You would take those lemons and make lemonade.
But anyway, on the sick and wrong scale, conclusion here. It's pretty disgusting, dude. This guy carried it. It's not like he carried this for 5 years. He carried this for almost 4 decades.
Wow.
A parasitic twin that was removed from his stomach. We're going to post the video. You can make your own decision as to how sick or wrong you think this is. I'm going to have to give it an 8.8.
I would score it that high, but I'm going to have to subtract a full point because this is similar to my very early sick and wrong story about the Russian tractor driver.
But I'm going to bring that up, you bastard.
I'm going to add back another half a point because that guy, he had a twin growing on the outside of his skin.
And the outside of his back. Wasn't it on his back?
And this guy didn't know anything about it till they cut it out of him. So I'm going to give it an 8.3.
And essentially, this dude gave birth.
Yeah, cesarean section.
Yeah, he had a C-section and delivered his conjoined twin. Yeah, pretty disgusting. Well, we invite you to vote, sickwrongpodcast@hotmail.com. But wait, you got to hear Wackerly's story.
Oh, yeah, this is a pretty good one.
Okay.
You're listening to Sick and Wrong, the podcast, brought to you by the Reach Around Foundation.
This is a big story in the San Francisco Bay Area, Fremont, San Francisco
local
area.
story.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe a lot of people have heard about it. I don't know because it's being reported all over the place here. I don't know if it's nationwide, but I would assume it's gotten some coverage. But it's still great, so we got to talk about it. Omid Aziz Popal, who's from Fremont, California, which I don't want to get racist or anything, but Fremont has a lot of Indian and
Middle
Afghan
Eastern,
and Middle Eastern people living there. I don't know if you ever take the BART home from work, the Fremont train.
Yeah.
It's like you're on the Marrakesh Express or something. But anyways, so Omid Aziz Popal, he's actually an Afghan man. He's 29, out of work, which, sometimes makes people go a little bit crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you can call it a source of stress in your life.
Well, Omid, this past week, I think it was Tuesday, he drove his SUV from Fremont up into San Francisco, the city, and just started running people over for like 5 miles of road. He ran about 18 people over.
A murderous rampage?
Running people over. Only one guy so far has died, and that was a guy he actually ran over in Fremont when he started the car rampage, whatever you want to call it.
Fremont's like what, 40 minutes away?
Yeah.
So he drove 40 minutes to San
Had
Francisco.
to drive across the bridge and all that.
Murderous rampage.
So
it's been a while since I heard of one of those.
So this guy, his family, the cops finally caught the guy. He didn't commit. Usually when people do stuff like this, they kill themselves or they
it's a murder-suicide.
Drive off the
Typically.
Golden Gate Bridge or something, or run into something and die. But the cops actually boxed this guy's SUV in, and they have him in custody.
He didn't have a gun or anything and blew his head off?
No, they have him in custody right now. So his family and his lawyer are obviously trying to say this guy is nuts. And what's just come out today are sort of some of the crazy things this guy said to the cops right after they stopped him. He told them that he repeatedly drove at pedestrians because he just wanted to. About a month ago, he had an arranged marriage. Speaking of arranged marriages, but this was in Afghanistan.
Maybe that's why he went insane.
Well, he went to Afghanistan.
She's so fucking ugly.
He went to Afghanistan, was married to this woman, and then he came back for some reason. He lives with his parents and a bunch of his brothers and sisters in Fremont. And they think that maybe that set him off, that he's trying to move her over here, and he's having a hard time getting on his feet so he can go and live on his own with his new wife.
They're claiming the arranged marriage is what caused him to go insane.
Yeah, well, just the whole situation of being married and your wife's not here, and he's trying to, get a job and move her over here. Basically, nobody knows why he did this, and they're just grasping at straws.
So how many people did he mow down?
Well, he killed one guy in Fremont and then hit 18 people, just random pedestrians, in San Francisco. And then he hit a cop car that a cop was actually in. And apparently the cop is injured also. That was right at the end, though.
This guy had conviction.
So he claimed to police that his goal was to run over police officers, but this is a testament to the quality of the San Francisco Police Department. He couldn't find any walking around or till right at the end. He had to drive 5 miles through the city before he saw a cop car, and there was like a cop in there eating a donut.
But this is after he had already mowed down like 14 other people.
Right. He was looking for cops, but he couldn't find any.
Yeah,
so
you can't find any cops in San Francisco.
No.
He should have just tracked down a Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. So the guy he killed in Fremont was 54 years old. Sort of lived near his neighborhood. So the family's claiming this guy's crazy, but people are saying, well, he went to a couple of colleges and he did have a job previously, and what
was his job previously? Did they mention it?
He worked at an automotive plant and some factory that made ATM machines. But then people are asking, well, why does he have a car? How is he behind the wheel? So I think this whole insanity defense is bullshit. I think he snapped and
just snapped and
is kind of
decided
a
to kill people.
Which
I'm surprised it wasn't like a murder suicide. I figured, I'm not implying anything here, but it's like I'm surprised he didn't strap a bunch of bombs to his chest and drive around, blow up the car and a bunch of people.
Well, I think he's a pussy.
Yeah, I know. He definitely sounds like a pussy.
Because another thing they're grasping at straws is that he's really angry at his father. He hates his father or something, and he took out that rage on all these other people, which also
why didn't he kill his father?
Yeah, it also kind of points to the fact that he's just a big pussy. Like, come on, what? You're too much of a puss to stand up to your dad, so you go run a bunch of innocent people down?
You know what my theory is? Did they show a picture of his wife? Because maybe they arranged a marriage with some like deformed, ugly woman, and he was just like, "Dad, I hate you, you dick."
No, actually, funnily enough, there is a picture of him and his wife, and she very much got the short end of this arranged marriage stick.
So wait, he's the ugly person? Maybe that's what it was. Maybe she's like, "No, dude, you're not putting your thing anywhere near me."
He kind of looks like a mongoloid himself. Speaking of Down syndrome, he's got this giant sloping forehead and these eyes that are just really far apart, and he kind of has a Hitler mustache, which is amusing.
That always gets the chicks.
Yeah. But he definitely looks crazy. But the fact that he had a job and he was very calm when he was talking to the police just makes me think he wasn't. But one of the things one of the questions is how he got this SUV. And
he was driving an SUV.
Yeah, his cousin,
definitely
his cousin Hamid Nekararwesh or something like that, said Popal embarked on his rampage after he tricked his mother and sister into getting out of his SUV shortly before noon Tuesday. So he's nuts, but they still let him drive the family around in a huge car.
So, dude, police impound this car. Like, is the family going to get the car back?
Oh, no. It's evidence.
It's evidence, yeah.
State's evidence or city's
so now the family's
out
of a car and their son's a lunatic.
So somebody witnessed him mow down this person in Fremont, the one who died, and they said there was no doubt that it was done intentionally. He just sped right over the guy without even pausing or applying the brakes. I'm actually surprised the car made it all the way to San Francisco and 5 miles through San Francisco. Because you think if you ever hit a deer or something,
I wonder what this guy was. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm surprised that it's an SUV though. You could probably hit a few people with that though, and
it's a testament to the SUV. I think it's a Honda CR-V, which isn't the biggest SUV out there.
But I mean, they're
it's
durable
cars.
Big
car, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost they could almost use this in a commercial.
I hope Honda can give us some money for promoting this.
We can mow down 15 people without the car breaking down.
Here's another funny quote from his family. His antipathy for people, as portrayed in these police reports, was punctuated by particular hatred for his father, which I talked about. Relatives have said that Popal's parents, he still lives with his mom and dad in Fremont, kept a close eye on him and allowed him little freedom because of what they described as his mental instability and their desire to shield him from evil people.
Apparently they didn't do that well of a job.
No.
Weren't very effectual. You know what this reminds me of? You remember that episode of The Simpsons when Apu loses his job at the Quickie Mart?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and it's because of Homer.
Yeah.
Because Homer wore that hat and found out that Apu was taking the hot dogs off the floor and putting them back on for resale. And remember, Apu just went completely insane.
But luckily enough, Apu gets his job back at the end of that episode before he has a chance to go on a murderous rampage.
Definitely. So I think if something had happened here, I mean, I don't know. Maybe some people living in Fremont, maybe Afghani people are more like susceptible to snapping. Although I guess Apu is Indian.
Yeah, and there's tons of people on the internet that are trying to play this up as an actual terrorist act, like, oh, he was trying to find the Jewish community center, and no, dude, this guy's just nuts.
If this was a terrorist act, he would have had bombs strapped to his chest, and he wouldn't be living. I mean, this guy just snapped and was insane.
He's just a half-assed, non-terrorist pussy.
I bet you he was pissed though when he found out he only killed one guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's tons of people who are injured. This just happened Tuesday, so we can stay tuned for more fatalities, I assume.
I guess, but I mean, I guess to future terrorists out there, future people who are planning murderous rampages, go somewhere high and just use a gun, like a sniper rifle. I think you'd take more people out.
Yeah, Kent State or whatever it's called.
And it just involves
Not
more
Kent
skill.
State, the one down in Texas. Sorry.
Although this is totally something like Grand Theft Auto.
They haven't investigated that angle, but I'm sure it will come out that he played the PlayStation 2.
He played Grand Theft Auto. I bet you that will come out. Oh, we'll have to see. So on the sick and wrong scale, you got to get some points there for being local. It's a local story.
Local story. Lots of people maimed and injured, and one killed.
I work in San Francisco, and I always miss the cool shit.
This is also a good story because as much as we're talking about how usually these stories end with a suicide, it's usually murder or rampage, suicide. Because the guy's still living and he's talking to the cops, that means there'll be more hilarity to come in the future.
So, follow-up article to follow.
Omid Aziz Popal.
I'm going to have to give that an 8.5.
I'm going to give it a 9.
A 9?
Wait till you see the picture. I'm going to put it on the internet.
All right, you have to post it to the site.
And when you look at this picture, people, you got to picture this guy's head behind a windshield, his just grimacing face, speeding
and that
at
Afghani
you,
music blaring in the
hurtling at
background.
you, and in the background it's like,
yeah.
That's exactly what Afghani music sounds like, by the way. We're going to be doing an album later.
Yeah.
Put it on the website.
I always thought it all sounded like that Butthole Surfers song, Cunts, but it's pretty obscure. I don't know
Maybe
how
we'll
many
have to
people
tie
know
that into the podcast.
Yeah, we'll have to end the podcast with the Butthole Surfers.
And then just a sound of an engine just revving in the background.
We invite you to vote on these articles, sickandwrongpodcast@hotmail.com. You can decide who will win the case of beer for podcast 35. So we need to wrap it up here. As usual, I want to get to some of the listener email, which we've been getting a lot. We've been getting a lot of email this past week. But we got a couple of note here, some that I found particularly interesting, wanted to share on the podcast. One, I would like to thank Kenji, our fan in Japan, who sent us like 6 folders.
Is that the porn guy?
Yeah, 6 folders of Japanese shit porn. I don't know
I know what I'm doing this Labor Day weekend.
It's just funny because it's like, hey, we always appreciate porn. Send us as much porn as you want. But the guy sends us like 6 folders of Japanese shit porn. But yeah, I think.
Are you complaining that it's shit porn or that there was too much of it at one time?
I was overloaded on shit porn. I can deal with shiza, like, in levels of shiza. I can't deal with it all at once.
Okay.
In moderation.
You need to temper it with some just good old-fashioned soft
Just regular porn, yeah.
Hot ladies.
But I thank him for sending it to us because it's always good. It'll just, complement my collection. Another kid sent us an email on MySpace, which I found kind of humorous here. His name's Gara. He said, I may be 14, but that doesn't mean I still can't enjoy your guys' podcast. You find the most sick and wrong stuff and make it funny. I listen to your podcast every night. It's special to me.
I love the straw man argument. Like somebody told him that he couldn't enjoy it because he was 14. I kind of take the opposite view. Like probably being 14 helps you, enhances your experience of the show.
I think it appreciates the juvenile humor expressed here in Sick and Wrong Podcast.
Yeah, keep fighting that good fight. Don't be oppressed, 14-year-old.
It's just it makes me feel all warm inside that we're influencing the young. We're an influence to the young.
Is that
the
shouldn't
impressionable
it be illegal? Minds.
He's
not allowed to listen to the show, right? You're not even supposed to be on MySpace if you're 14.
I don't know, dude. Eventually he's going to be able to get a car and mow some people down. Another guy on MySpace left us a comment saying he loves the podcast and wants us to give him a shout out. I'm not quite sure what he means by that.
How about no shout out for
you?
Yo.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. Yo. His name's Whitley.
My boy on MySpace.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not going to do that in the future. But the best email, hands down.
We didn't do it just now, did we? I hope not.
The best email, hands down, that we received is from a woman named Melissa from the UK who begged us to stop doing our show. And I don't know. Once again, I question, maybe it's just because I'm a cynic, but I question the authenticity of this email as well. It almost seems like too
I'm
good to be true.
completely on the fence. I'd
I'm on the
love
fence
for
with
it to
this
be
one.
real, but I think somebody's yanking our chain.
Well, let me just go through a little bit of it here. So she says, Dear Dee and Lance, I'm the facilitator of a women's group which helps its members find a new understanding of and a new meaning in the oppressive, debased, phallocentric world we are now unfortunate to live in.
All right, bullshit point number 1.
Phallocentric?
No. Give us the name of the group, because I would love to go on Google and figure out more about this group, but she doesn't tell us the name of the group. Or maybe it's just her bullshit little group of 3 or 4 friends. It's not really a group.
I don't know, dude. More than 100 years of male-dominated so-called science has reduced humanity and everything else in the world to the level of machines, albeit fairly complex ones.
So-called science? I mean, she just doesn't believe in science across the board?
This denial of our essential humanity, which is the denial of the divine mother spirit, I think we're dealing with a hippie here, has led to young men such as yourselves embracing and even luxuriating in obscenity and all manners of inhuman barbarity. So she's claiming that we glorify violent acts here on Sick and Wrong.
Every week when I sit down with one of these stories, it's like a warm, velvety comforter that I just wrap up inside.
Dude, do you really think that we bask in the obscenity? All we do is we point out the obscenity and the absurdity of most of these acts.
Right.
You know, I think
she would rather that it wasn't focused on at all and just swept under the carpet, I guess, or...
I don't know. So she goes on to say, I don't hold this against you and certainly do not blame you for this. It's a natural reaction, quite possibly the only reaction a vulnerable, delicate soul can have if it is to survive. One day you will come to realize that all this sick and wrong business, all the porn and beer and misogyny, spelt wrong, is just your way of coming to terms with the brutish, nasty world men have made of our godless paradise.
I love how she's kind of mothering us, infantilizing us. Like, one day you will understand, my child. Fuck you.
She claims that the often disquietingly high level of our vocabulary leads me to believe that we're intelligent boys. And I'm sure you are from good families. Do you not agree a world of trust and love is better than cynicism and laughter at the misfortune of the uneducated and ignorant? No, I don't.
Was that a rhetorical question?
No, dude, she's asking us a question. I do not believe that we live in a world of trust and love. And if you do, you're jaded. And this woman's obviously jaded. Actually, if you ask me, this woman's a feminazi.
I think she just needs to get some big cock.
You just think she really needs to get laid and get off her computer for a little bit?
Or if she's a lesbian, some tongue action.
I like this. If you look inside
Bumping
yourselves,
bagels.
I know you will see your heart and soul are in resonance with my words. Don't wait until you're old and no longer able to help the young of this world to realize this. Do it now. Use your creative genius and internet page-making skills, whatever that means, to make something you can be proud of. Why not this is the best, Love Refound podcast or the Movies of Redemption and Inspiration podcast? Dude, look at the movies we post on Sick and Wrong. Obviously, she hasn't seen the guy getting fucked by the horse. If you ask me, that's inspiration. Do you think that's inspiring?
It's a testament to the ability of man to achieve his most wildest dreams.
And so she ends this here by saying, make the world a better place and make Podcast 34 the last Sick and Wrong podcast. Well, I hate to crush her aspirations here.
But we just finished 35.
Yeah, we just finished 35, and we're going to keep continuing this podcast. And honestly, I think this lady is living in denial. If she's even a real person, she's not like yanking our chains here.
It's almost too good to be real, but
yeah,
let's just consider it as real for now.
Well, her salutation here on this email is, with all my heart, Melissa. And it's just like, you know what? Okay, I look deep inside my soul, and it's black, it's cynical, it's harsh. But what we're doing, I think she's missing the point of Sick and Wrong. I mean, we do ridicule, and we do mock, and we do scorn, but all we're doing is we're perpetuating what you see. We're just reflecting what you see in society. And I don't mean to go off on some esoteric tangent here.
Okay, thanks.
I'm going to stop right now. But this woman lives in denial. She lives in her happy tree friend world, in the UK, and she looks through her rose-colored glasses and she refuses to see the violence, and the depravity that surrounds her.
She needs some chav to come up and give her a happy slap.
That's exactly what she needs. And all our listeners that are chavs, go up to find this woman, go find her facilitator or her group that she facilitates, and give her a happy slap. Give her one for me and one for Wacko.
Do you think she's listening to the show?
Oh, dude, she's one of those people that listen, just like those people that complain about Howard Stern. They listen to the show every week because they're addicted to it, but yet at the same time they find it, they find it morally debasing.
Because I kind of wish she wasn't, because then we could sort of lead her on and respond to the email and try and get a picture or something out of her, which would be great.
Well, I'm gonna send. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna reply to her email, and I'll probably do it sometime this week when I get around to it. But we're going to have to post the correspondence on the website because I do think this is kind of funny. I was actually thinking of just sending her a picture of Goatsy and saying, this is what I think of you. I don't know how many people out there know what Goatsy is, but go do a Google search, Goatse. But we'll have to post the correspondence. But thank you, Melissa, for sending us that enlightening email. SickandWrongPodcast@hotmail.com. Keep those emails coming. Finally, we're going to wrap up this podcast here. Make sure you stay tuned for podcast 36, which is coming out next week. Also, we're going to have some guest hosts in the near future, hopefully. So stay tuned. Some fascinating Sick and Wrong podcasts in the near future. But in the meantime, go vote for us. Podcast Alley. I think it's the beginning of the month. So definitely give us a vote for Sick and Wrong. And subscribe to the show on iTunes. We want to get in the top 10 in iTunes. Wouldn't that be great?
I would give all of the listeners a shout out.
Yeah,
so would that happened.
We'll have to make T-shirts. Give everyone a T-shirt if they get us into the top 10 on Podcast Alley. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Well, until podcast 36, take it sleazy.
ดวงอะไรที่ดีไม่เห็นมีตัวตนเลยนั่นที่เขาเรียกว่าดวงนะดวงอะไรกันถ้ายิ่งเก่าก็ยิ่งมันเขาเรียกขี้กลางพุ่งเดือนมีดวงใครว่าของดีดวงที่ทำไมมันคันคันคันคันคันคันคันคันคันคันคันคันดวงอะไรที่ดังที่คนหวังว่าใส่ดวงนี้จะเด่นเห็นคุยกันกลายเกลื่อนที่เห็น